"You're fired. Clear out your locker." Tessa was a kind and brave coffee shop manager. She stood up for a veteran and his service dog. This simple act of kindness cost her the job she loved. She felt sad and confused, but what happened next would change everything. Just 1 hour later, a Marine commander arrived. He had a message that would surprise everyone. Stay tuned to find out how Tessa's life took a big turn. Tessa Ellis had worked at Harbor Brew for many years. The small coffee shop sat on a busy corner in a close-knit town. Every morning, regulars gathered for warm drinks and friendly smiles. Tessa knew many of them by name. She loved the work and the community that had grown around the shop. The cozy space was filled with laughter, soft music, and the rich aroma of fresh coffee. One bright morning, the routine at Harbor Brew was disrupted. A health inspector arrived without warning. He moved quickly through the shop, his eyes scanning every detail. The inspector had a stern look and held a clipboard tightly. His purpose was to enforce strict rules and ensure that every rule was followed. At that moment, a veteran named Victor entered the shop. He was a quiet man who had served his country for many years. At his side walked his service dog. The dog was calm and well-behaved, a true helper to Victor. The animal's presence helped him move and gave him comfort. Many people admired Victor for his service and the bond he shared with his faithful companion. The health inspector stopped near the door as he saw the dog. With a harsh tone, he insisted that animals were not allowed inside the coffee shop. His words were firm and left no room for discussion. Tessa watched as the inspector's eyes narrowed at the sight of the service dog. She knew that the law protected service animals. These animals were not pets but working animals that helped their owners live better lives. Tessa felt a strong urge to do what was right. She walked over to Victor and his service dog. Standing tall, she defended them. Tessa explained in clear and simple words that federal law allowed service animals inside public spaces. Her tone was calm but determined. She could see the anger in the inspector's face as he did not agree with her. The situation quickly grew tense, and the usually warm atmosphere of Harbor Brew became cold and heavy. The owner of the coffee shop stepped in at that moment. He did not share Tessa's views on the matter. In a matter of minutes, he turned on Tessa. With a sharp command, he told her to clear out her locker and leave. Tessa was fired on the spot. The words echoed in the quiet room as she stood there, shocked and heartbroken. In that instant, Tessa felt the sting of betrayal. She had given her all for a place she loved and for the people who relied on Harbor Brew as a safe space. Standing up for Victor and his service dog was the right thing to do, she believed. But now, the price was her job. Tears welled in her eyes as she collected her belongings. The familiar clatter of the coffee shop seemed to mock her pain as she left the building for the last time. Outside, the cool morning air did little to ease her sorrow. Tessa walked slowly down the street, feeling the weight of injustice on her shoulders. She had always believed in fairness and respect for all, especially for those who had given so much for their country. The memory of her own small acts of kindness mingled with the bitter taste of losing the one job that had meant so much to her. For the next hour, Tessa wandered through the town. Her mind was filled with questions. Was it worth standing up for what was right if it meant losing everything she had built? The town was quiet, and the only sound was her soft footsteps on the pavement. She thought of her late father, a man who had taught her that courage was more important than comfort. Those lessons now felt both a comfort and a challenge. As the clock moved forward, the unexpected began to unfold. A sleek, black limousine slowly pulled up near the park where Tessa had taken a seat on a low stone bench. The vehicle looked out of place in the familiar surroundings of the small town. A few curious onlookers paused in their daily routines to watch the unusual sight. From the limousine, a well-dressed man stepped out. His posture was confident, and his face carried the marks of service and resolve. The man was Colonel Daniel Harper, a respected Marine commander known in the military community for his strong sense of honor and duty. Colonel Harper had heard of the incident at Harbor Brew. He had long been an advocate for veterans and their well-being. When he learned that a veteran had been treated unfairly and that a kind manager had been punished for defending him, the colonel felt a surge of determination. He saw in Tessa a spirit of courage that deserved to be recognized and rewarded. Without a word, Colonel Harper walked toward Tessa. He paused in front of her, his gaze steady and thoughtful. In that silent moment, Tessa felt a strange mix of hope and disbelief. Here was a man of the military coming to her in a time of need. The colonel extended a hand, a gesture that felt both formal and warm. Tessa, still unsure, reached out slowly. Colonel Harper led Tessa to his waiting vehicle. The ride was quiet, filled with the soft hum of the engine and the quiet determination of a man on a mission. As they drove, Tessa's mind raced with questions about what might come next. She wondered how her small act of defiance had reached the ears of someone as important as a Marine commander. Deep down, she hoped that her belief in fairness was not misplaced. At the military base, the atmosphere was busy yet orderly. Soldiers and officers moved with purpose through the well-kept grounds. Colonel Harper guided Tessa through a series of corridors until they reached a modest office filled with light and hope. In that room, the colonel explained the opportunity that lay ahead. He had started a new veteran outreach program at the base, one that would help veterans reintegrate into civilian life and find work. He believed that people like Tessa, who had shown real strength and moral courage, could help lead that program. Tessa listened as the colonel described the role. The job would allow her to work directly with veterans and support service dog programs. It was a chance to use her skills and her caring nature to make a difference. Though her heart still ached from the loss of her job, a new feeling began to blossom within her. The offer was unexpected, but it felt like a true second chance, a way to continue doing what she loved on an even larger stage. The colonel's words were clear and kind. He told her that he had seen the news of the incident at Harbor Brew. Many in the military community were proud of her for standing up for Victor and his service dog. Her actions had touched the hearts of many who understood the sacrifices made by veterans. He explained that her courage had not gone unnoticed, and that she now had a chance to help others who had served their country. With each passing moment, Tessa's sadness began to lift. The pain of being fired was still there, but it was replaced by a growing sense of purpose. She realized that sometimes a loss can lead to a new beginning. The values that had guided her courage, fairness, and compassion had opened a door that she never expected. Though she had paid a heavy price, the reward was a future filled with hope and the promise of change. In the days that followed, the story of the incident spread throughout the town and beyond. News outlets reported on the brave act at Harbor Brew and the swift support from the military. The coffee shop's corporate office was forced to take a closer look at their policies. Soon they issued an apology to the community and announced a plan to support service dog training for veterans. The company promised to transform their stores into spaces that welcomed both veterans and their service animals. The mistake of firing Tessa was seen as a turning point, a moment that led to much-needed change. Back at the military base, Tessa began her new role with great care. She worked closely with veterans, listening to their stories and helping them navigate the challenges of civilian life. The job was not easy. Many veterans carried deep wounds, both seen and unseen. Yet, Tessa found that her own experiences had given her a strength that others could rely on. Every day, she worked to create a safe and welcoming space where veterans could find support and new purpose. Tessa also helped set up a program that connected veterans with trained service dogs. These dogs, carefully trained to assist with daily tasks, became more than just animals, they were companions and friends. Tessa organized meetings and workshops where veterans learned how to work with their service dogs. The program soon became a model for other outreach efforts in the region. Her work brought together the community, the military, and local businesses, all united by a desire to help those who had given so much. The transformation was not limited to the veteran outreach program. Inspired by Tessa's courage, a group of local community members decided to act. They visited the former Harbor Brew and proposed a new idea to reopen the coffee shop as a community hub that welcomed everyone, including veterans and their service animals. The idea took hold quickly. Volunteers helped fix up the building, and soon the shop was reborn under a new name, Freedom Brew. Freedom Brew was more than just a coffee shop. It was a place where people gathered to share stories, support one another, and celebrate the strength of community. A small sign hung in the window reading, "All who served welcome, 2 legs or 4." The sign was a reminder that kindness and respect should be the cornerstones of any community. The new shop quickly became a symbol of hope and a lasting tribute to Tessa's brave stand. Tessa continued to work with both the Veteran Outreach Program at the military base and the revitalized Freedom Brew. Her days were busy but filled with purpose. She met with veterans who had been overlooked and helped them find jobs, connect with counseling, and build new lives. Each success story warmed her heart. She saw the healing power of compassion and the strength that comes from standing up for what is right. As time went on, the town began to heal from the wounds of the past. The story of Tessa's dismissal and subsequent rise became a lesson in courage and community. Neighbors who once whispered about the incident now spoke with pride of a woman who had not backed down. The community learned that the true measure of a person was not in a single moment of failure, but in the many acts of kindness and bravery that followed. Colonel Daniel Harper visited Freedom Brew on several occasions. He admired the changes that had taken place and was proud of the role he had played in giving Tessa a second chance. The colonel's support was a constant reminder that good deeds do not go unnoticed. His visits brought many veterans to the shop, and together they celebrated each small victory: a repaired car, a new job, or simply the smile of someone who felt seen and valued. Tessa's journey was filled with challenges. There were days when the memories of being fired and the pain of rejection would return. In those moments, she would remember her own father's words about honor and standing up for the truth. Slowly, she learned that every setback was a step toward a greater future. Her work with veterans and the community helped her see that her actions had created ripples of change far beyond what she had ever imagined. At night, Tessa would sit quietly and reflect on the twists of fate that had brought her to this point. She remembered the bitter taste of injustice at Harbor Brew and the warmth of hope that came with Colonel Harper's visit. In those quiet moments, she realized that standing up for what was right was never in vain. Her actions had sparked a change in a community that was ready to grow and support one another. In the end, Tessa Ellis's story became a beacon of light. What began as a painful loss turned into a journey of healing and empowerment. She went from losing her job to gaining a new purpose, helping those who had served their country and giving them the support they deserved. Through her work at the Veteran Outreach Program and the Reborn Freedom Brew, Tessa showed that one brave act could change many lives. Her legacy lived on in the smiles of the veterans she helped and in the warm cups of coffee served every morning at Freedom Brew. The town learned that courage, when combined with compassion, can break down barriers and build a future filled with hope. Tessa's life had taken a big turn that day, and in doing so, she reminded everyone that standing up for what is right can bring light even to the darkest of times. Tessa's journey was a testament to the power of resilience and the strength found in community. She had lost her job for doing what she believed in, but she gained something much more valuable: a chance to make a difference and to help others heal. And as the days turned into months and the months into years, the impact of her actions continued to be felt. The story of Tessa Ellis became a part of the town's history, a story told with pride and hope for future generations. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers together and continue sharing stories that inspire change and celebrate resilience.